Hello, it's me. I must have called you 1,000 times. You're never home. I mean, I leave messages. Ow! Oh boy, that hurt. Oh, hold on. Hi, or hello. It's me, Frankly Brutal, host of the Brutally Frank and Frankly Brutal show, inviting all of our BFFB viewers, family, and friends all around the world to our little excerpt from this 2016 season that we are just very excited about. It's a political year. Marty and I are just going to be, we're going to be having some fun, and we're taking y'all on a wild ride. So welcome. Hope you join us. And this is my friend and co-host Marty Hubbell likes to say, hey Frank, let's go to press. All aboard, everybody. Get on that train. From border to border and coast to coast, to alien ships above and below, to all our ships at sea and in the air, and to all our American soldiers stationed worldwide, we salute you. And to you, Mr. and Mrs. America, welcome to this broadcast of the Brutally Frank and Frankly Brutal show. I am Frank Lee Brutal, and I'm joined tonight by raconteur and renowned political analyst, Marty Hubbell. Marty, Happy New Year, and welcome aboard the BFFB train. Let's go to press.
Arrivederci. That's Russian for all my Russian friends that live in Russia.
Hey, Marty, that's Italiano.
But BFFB show blocked in Russia. Only one watching it is me, Vladimir Putin. But I understand the Brutally Frank, Frankly Brutal show very good. Da. Hola. Or maybe Buenos Tardes. Does that work, Frank?
Buenos tardes, my friend. How very international of you, Marty. I think we need to go around the world and bring the stories you'll hear nowhere else but on the Brutally Frank and Frankly Brutal show. I'm going to start my teletype unit up right now. It's an older model, but it still works, Marty. And it looks like we're getting some stories up, so I think we are ready to go to press with this 2016 season of Brutally Frank and Frankly Brutal. Marty, here is our first story. Dateline, Iowa. It seems America's so-called sophisticated news media are being flim-flammed by this guy named Donald Trump. Anybody at the desk? Yeah, I don't, name hasn't come up much. Marty, it says Mr. Trump's special brand of gibberish is designed to distort and distract while he talks non-stop about his wealth. But here's the rub, Marty. He offers nothing but pipe dreams and hatred to his gullible supporters.
Roger that.
Marty, that reminds me of someone from our past, 1930s, Germany. Lots of hot air, bloviating, a bully, spreading hatred, and his name was, I think it was Hitler. But not only that, Marty, but speaking of gullible and non-stop, to me, that sounds like our American news media, who are giving Donald Trump an all-expense free vacation and a 24/7 info commercial on every network in America. He doesn't have to pay for anything, and he's getting all this publicity, non-stop, 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 non-stop. Well, it seems to me there was a thing called the Fairness Act, but they threw that out a long time ago. So now they just, since there's only 4 corporate owners in America, they can manipulate the news as much as they want. And apparently, the person they want us to be manipulated by, just like Germany, is this gentleman named Donald Trump. Well, Marty, I was just thinking, there's a movie starring Burt Lancaster that's just a great, great movie. And let's see. Yeah, that's it. Donald Trump is the new Rainmaker. 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 Did I say Rainmaker? Rainmaker. Yeah, old Bill Starbuck over there. He is America's new Rainmaker. Well, you know what, Marty? I think it's time we shed a little light on Mr. Bill Starbuck and that Rainmaker, and pour a little rain on his orange-haired Rainmaker parade. Don't you agree?
Hey, loser! Why don't you grab a bumbleshoot? You know, an umbrella. And even though you pretend to be a rainmaker, I don't foresee any showers in the near future. And thus, you have earned the name, Tremendous Loser.
Hang on, Marty. Calm down. I know you've got a lot to say tonight, and we're going to get to every word of it. By the way, I see old Bill Starbucks over there, so hang on to your umbrella, but it doesn't look like it's going to rain, so I think we should get on with the show.
That boy is a P-I-G pig, and he's a disaster, and he's a tremendous loser.
You're right, Isabella. Donald Trump is he's a huge, am I right? Right down there in front? Right? In the back? He's a huge disaster. And Marty, since old Bill Starbuck's sitting over there, can you imagine him as President of the United States ever showing any statesmanship or diplomacy or respect to another world leader, or, God forbid, one of our adversaries? Oh no, Marty. Old Bill Starbuck over there, he is a ton of trouble. Yes, indeedy.
You are correct, Frank. Old Rainmaker over there, Bill Starbuck, he would make America the complete laughingstock of the world. I can just imagine him addressing the United Nations General Assembly about dealing with ISIS and the refugees. He'd say something like, oh, I'm going to go to my Donald Trump impression real quick, Frank. Well, here it goes. Let's face it, ISIS and those Muslims and refugees, they're just a bunch of rats with beards, right? They've got rats with beards, and they're rats, right? Rats with beards. Did you see them? You, down in front. Did you see them? Rats with beards. They're tremendous rats with beards. Rats with beards. And did any of you in the hall smell them?
Oh,
you smell them?
yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I'm telling you, there's more poop in those beards than in a toilet.
Roger that.
That's right. There's more poop on those beards than a toilet. I have well-placed sources for this, okay? So that means, no wonder we can smell them all the way across the ocean. Can you smell them? Am I right? Am I right? You in the back, madam, with the headset on. Am I right? Am I right? Sir, you down there with the pen, whatever. Yeah. Can I smell them? You're right. We can smell them. Let's face it. They're third-rate losers, rats with beards. They're a complete disaster, a tremendous disaster. And you know what? We are going to take over the oil. And we're going to get all of it. We're going to get every bit of oil. I'm telling you right now. I have a great management team. We are going to get all of their oil. Then when we do that, we're going to build a wall around the Trump Tower. How was that, Frank?
Ho, Marty. That is pretty strong language.
Rats with beards. Rats with beard. Tremendous losers. And they're rats with beards and they stink. Have you smelled them? Am I right? Have you smelled them? Have you smelled them? They're rats with beards. Rats with beards. Am I right?
Well, Marty, old Bill Starbuck over there, the Rainmaker, he says America is too PC. And Marty, I'm guessing that he would no doubt say something like that. And on top of it, he wouldn't apologize to anybody for saying it. Not now, not ever. And why, Marty? Because Bill Starbuck is never wrong. He's never wrong. Is that the type of person we need as President of the United States, Marty? I don't think so.
Oh yeah, and you know, not only that, Frank, but you know how I mentioned earlier that if he was at the UN, he would say that he was going to go get the oil? Well, he doesn't even have to be at the UN. He has already said that he wants to go to Iraq to get the oil and keep it for him or whoever he wants to keep it for. But there's only one problem. I thought that Dick Cheney had promised that all of that Iraqi oil would pay for the last war when we invaded that country, Iraqi, for the second time. So what happened to the oil that we were supposed to get, and did we get any money from it? And my third question would be, what happened to the Dick? I mean, what happened to Dick?
Well, Marty, that oil stayed in Iraq. And the Iraqis, well, they sold all those oil rights to foreign oil companies. None of it came to America or paid for that war. And now, guess who has that oil? ISIS and ISIL. And as far as that Dick you're talking about, old Dick Cheney, well, nothing happened to him, Marty, or George W. Bush, or Condi Rice, or Donald Rumsfeld, or the other liars that got us into that war. Isn't that something? And old Dick, he and his company Halliburton made $39 billion, that's with a big B. At what cost, Marty? At the cost of 4,486 American soldiers' lives. On top of that, there are 1 million American soldiers who were wounded in that war. And another 500,000 soldiers, Marty, who have returned to America with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And who knows, Marty, if PTSD is responsible for 11 veterans taking their own lives every day in America. Well, Marty, I don't think that $39 billion is worth one American life. Not now, not ever. And now we have old Bill Starbuck over there telling us what a mess our military is. It's a total disaster. And all the other Republican candidates showing how macho they are by saying we'll bomb them to oblivion. We'll show them a thing or two and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, not one of those GOP chicken hawks, Marty, has served a day in the military. But they're more than willing to go back and get that oil and show ISIS an ISIL thing or two, as long as they don't have to send their son or daughter to war. Right? Right. On top of that, Marty, that war, well, it added $60 trillion to our debt. Well, Marty, we'll never get that money back. And how convenient is it that all of those GOP candidates, who do they blame, Marty? Well, they blame President Obama. And why? Because they all have Obama derangement syndrome. Obama derangement syndrome. Ow, I stubbed my toe. Oh, I got a headache. Oh, thanks, Obama. It's Obama's fault. Oh, my car ran out of gas. Thanks, Obama. Well, Marty, it's not the president's fault, but he sure has done a heck of a job cleaning up that mess. That's for damn sure. So, Marty, here's the deal. I don't think America wants to go back to war for oil. I'm pretty sure, if anything, the coalition that President Obama is putting together is probably going to go take that oil from ISIS and ISIL. Meanwhile, those GOP candidates who are so willing to go to war, well, when one of their soldiers or daughters joins the military service, then we'll take what they have to say with even less grain of salt than we do right now. So Marty, here's the deal. There are no winners in war, Marty. Only tremendous losers. Tremendous losers. Right, Bill Starbuck? You would know about that.
Hey, Donald Duck Dude. Since you're so willing to invade another country like Iraq and take over their oil fields with someone else's sons or daughters doing the fighting, perhaps both your boys could strap it on and put some skin in the game and join the military, when you go invade Iraq. That would be awesome. That could be huge.
You're right, Marty. Donald Trump Jr. and Eric travel to Africa to hunt big game, shoot leopards, elephants, hold that leopard around their shoulders like, look at me. And then they held up that elephant tail. Marty, how brave could it be to shoot an elephant? I mean, hell, you could fall out of a bed with a gun and shoot an elephant. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Am I right? No, Marty. If those boys want to prove their macho braveness, perhaps they could join the military alongside their fellow American soldiers who would go to war to get the oil that their father, Donald Trump, wants them to get. No, Marty. There's one rub. Those boys over there, the ISIL and ISIS fellas, well, they shoot back. And that is not going to set too well with those Trump boys. No, if they want to prove what heroes and how brave they are, they should join the military and fight alongside our American soldiers. Now that would be huge. Huge, huge, huge. Am I right? 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 Yeah, that would be huge, Marty.
Perhaps Bill Starbuck could put his incredible management team, the ones that are going to round up all of the 11 million immigrants, i.e. Mexicans. Certainly, they should be able to manage to get a couple of officer rank positions for the Rainmaker's big game hunting sons. Donald Jr. and Eric. There should be no problem, once they join the military, of course. Isn't that what they do? I mean, they're supposed to be tremendous, incredible managers and negotiators, so it should be like a no-brainer. Am I right? Am I correct? Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, I think I'm right on that one. Don't you think, Frank?
But Marty, Bill Starbuck over there, he's a delegator, not a negotiator. And you would think the American people, especially Trump's supporters, would have seen through that Rainmaker persona already. Boy, I'll tell you what, they're in for a big shock, right?
Oh, well, that's news to me, Frank. So Trump is a delegator, not a negotiator. That's funny because I always thought that he was a phenomenal alligator. The big snappy jaws, big teeth. So I think, Frank, that Mr. Trump is a phenomenal alligator. Am I right?
Well, Marty, old Bill Starbuck over there, the Rainmaker, he says that he's going to be able to round up 11 million illegal immigrants, i.e. Mexicans, in just 2 years, Marty. And how is he going to do it?
With tremendous management. I have tremendous managers. I have a tremendous management team.
I have a tremendous management team. Did I say tremendous management? Well, Marty, do you think those tremendous managers could also pick up all of the illegal Russians? all of the illegal Chinese. Oh boy, there's a lot of them in this country, Marty. All of the illegal Japanese people, all of the illegal Asian people from all around the world, the people from India and Pakistan that are here illegally. But Marty, let's be clear. Immigrants that pose the biggest problem to America are those immigrants from the Eastern Bloc countries. You know, the Eastern Bloc. Oh, yeah. Mr. Trump should have a lot of experience with them.
Hello and welcome to the Mental Health
Hey, Marty,
Hotline.
here's
If you are
another
obsessed
great
with
idea
compulsive, press
that
1 repeatedly.
tremendous
If you are
management
codependent,
team ought to
ask someone
consider.
to press 2
And
for
guess
you.
where it comes from?
If you have multiple
Christy.
personalities, press 3, 4, 5,
Wow.
6.
He
you are
says,
paranoid, we know
why
what
don't
you
we
are and
take
what you want.
a
Down the line, we'll
microchip,
trace
you know, the
your
kind
call.
that FedEx
If you're
puts on all of their
delusional, press
packages to
7
track
and
them
your
all
call will be
around the world?
transferred to the mothership.
Well, Mr.
If you
Christie's
are
plan is to
schizophrenic,
insert
listen carefully and a small
that
voice will tell you which
tracking
number to
chip
press. If you are depressive,
into
it doesn't
all
matter
the
which
people
number you
in
press,
South
no one will
America
answer
that
you.
are
If you're
thinking
dyslexic,
about
press
coming
69,
to
69,
America.
69.
That
If you have a
way,
nervous disorder, please fidget
we
with the
would be able to
hash
track
key
them
until the beep.
from South America
After the beep,
all the
please
way
wait for
to
the
the
beep.
American border. And
If
then
you
when
have
they got
short-term
close,
memory loss, please try your call again later. And
you'd
if you
just
have low
nab them like
self-esteem,
that,
hang
right
up.
in
All
the
our
butt.
operators are too busy to talk to you.
Marty, that is a tremendous idea, and I think something that Mr. Trump's spectacular management team ought to consider. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
So Frank, those immigrants from the Eastern Bloc countries, they're probably, as you're saying, related to Bill Starbuck and the Rainmaker, but what happened to them?
So let's see, Marty. Donald Trump's wives immigrated to the U.S. from the Eastern Bloc, and they married their anchor husband, Bill Starbuck, and then became anchor wives. So Marty, let's see, anchor wives married to an anchor husband, which would mean their children are... Say it ain't so.
Anchors away, Frank. Anchors away. Anchors away, the boys. Anchors away, Frank. Anchors away. Anchors away. Anchors away. Anchors away.
Precisely, Marty. Precisely. Precisely.
Frank, I believe the correct term would be anchor babies. However, in New York, the Latin term would be anchor brats. Anchor brats. And then, obviously, the Rainmaker's wives were doing the work that Americans refused to do.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, they did the work that Americans refused to do, with old Bill Starbuck there. So I'm just saying, anchor brats in New York, anchor babies around the world, and doing the work that Americans refused to do.
Get them masts up and set sail.
Am I
We're
right?
going to a breather. Arr.
That was perfect, Marty. Perfect. I especially like the Latin term you used for anchor babies, anchor brats. That is tremendous. Perhaps old Bill Starbuck over there should wear a big A on his chest and then a big L for loser and then a big H for hypocrite. You know, he could do like a, let's see, he could do like an A, and then a big L, and then a big D for disaster. Right? Then we'd know who this person was who's really running in the guise of Donald Trump. With that, Marty, I think we're going to bring a close to this episode of the Brutally Frank and Frankly Brutal Show. But I want to thank you and invite all of our BFFB friends and family and viewers to join us next time on the Brutally Frank and Frankly Brutal show, when we'll take an even more brutally frank look at the rest of the GOP presidential candidates. You know, all those guys and the one girl in the clown car. Marty, they are filling up that clown car, I'm telling you right now. And guess who's driving it, Marty? Guess who's driving it? Yeah, old Bill Starbuck over there. You know, with the initials on his chest and stuff? Yeah, he's driving the clown car, Marty. Driving that big old clown car. I've got a tremendous clown car of people here I'm driving. So, well then, Marty, I can't wait, because that is one big, huge clown car. Oh boy.
So send in the clowns. There ought to be clowns. Don't bother, they're here. Well, actually, Frank, they're not here. Bill Starbuck over there, the Rainmaker, is driving that GOP clown car full of those clowns right over the cliff. Boom.
Marty, I didn't realize you had such a beautiful, beautiful singing voice. Wow, I'm very, very impressed. And you're right. The clown cars are here. They're right here, being driven by old Donald Trump. That is amazing. Well, Marty, I want to also invite our fans, our BFFB followers and fans and viewers to our next episode on the Brutally Frank and Frankly Brutal show, when we take a very brutal look at the Democrats running for the White House. That would be Martin O'Malley and Hillary Clinton, and there's one other guy. Oh, hold on, let me look it up. Hold on. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders. Guys, anybody? Bernie Sanders. It says here that he is gaining a lot of support nationally. And Marty, that sounds pretty exciting. So, I think that we are going to be able to have just a great time in our next episode when we talk about Bernie Sanders. Wow.
You know what, Frank? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking that Bernie Sanders guy, I'm thinking that he has a great deal of potential. I'm just saying. I think he has a great deal of potential. I'm just saying.
You're right, Marty. That Bernie fella, he seems like a very nice young man. And speaking of nice young men, or rather nice young moose boys, Marty, I want to thank you so much for helping me host this episode of the Brutally Frank and Frankly Brutal show. And I can't wait for you and I to follow this fun 2016 presidential race all the way to the White House. And Marty, if it's anything like I think it's going to be, I'll tell you what, our BFFB fans and you and I, we had better buckle up our seatbelts, because it is going to be one crazy, crazy trip. Wow, I can't wait. And so, for Marty Hubbell, I am Frank Lee Brutal, inviting you to join us next time for the Brutally Frank and Frankly Brutal show. And remember, if you're going to bring it, what, Marty, what do we say? You better bring it brutally frank. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Good night. I love you. Bonne nuit. Je t'aime. See you next time on the Brutally Frank and Frankly Brutal show. Ciao.